So the first portion of this video is going to be a clip from a live training that I did. This training was basically a tutorial for muscle ups, dips, handstand push-ups, but we went over a lot of mobility as well. So the first stretches you're going to see here, I'm just going to let the audio roll live, and this is all going to be elbow mobility and wrist mobility for bodyweight exercises. Up, drop our elbows down, and just come forward and find that uncomfortable spot where you're trying to drive your shoulder as much as you can with your hand. Try to not let your elbow get out. Just try to keep elbows tucked underneath and really come in. How does that feel? It hurt? A little bit, right? Not too bad. If you feel like it's not doing much, your elbows are probably too wide. Try to keep your elbows in. Or you're really flexible. Okay, good. So that's the first piece of it. The second piece of it's a little bit harder, turning the wrists over. This is really hard to keep your elbows in on this one, so turning the wrists over. So trying to get your elbows as close as possible here. And then same idea. Is that easier or harder? Easier, right? The reason why is because when you turn your hand over, your forearm muscle is not really running into your bicep anymore. But unfortunately, on the rings, when we transition, we're using both of those muscles. It almost bounces us out, right? Same idea. We can do it in that bent arm position, but since we just did that, we'll do it straight arms here. Palms facing completely forward. And just cast your shoulders over your fingertips. Try to keep your palms on the ground as much as possible. Straight arms if you can. And back. And back.
And these are all things you do before you work out?
Yep. I do this every single day. The next piece of that, roll the wrists over on one side. Come forward on one hand. Other side. Come forward on the other hand. Other wrist, flat on the ground. Gently place your knee in your palm. Pull up slightly to create a little more range. And then turn the elbow out and pull back. This is like really good for false grip. On the other wrist as well. Super painful? No. You don't really? So come back more. Yeah. Keep your arm straight. Roll this arm out. So yeah, not like this. Okay. So roll your arm out. Yeah. You feel it here? Okay, a little bit, not too much? So your hand is off the ground. Yeah, so you really want to pinch your hand into the ground. Try to keep your wrist completely flat, and then roll out and pull back. So if you're not feeling anything, walk your knee a little bit closer. Make sure your hand's rolling out, and then create more of an angle back. And then the last piece to it, and you were just doing it, hand here. So knee goes right into the crevice of your wrist right there. And then as you pull back, don't get light on your knee. Keep driving your knee forward. Does anybody feel that? Yeah? And if you don't, drive your knee forward harder. We'll do the other wrist. Really sit on this one. Good. So shake it out. So that was the mobility portion. And then next we're going to go over a way to strengthen wrists and elbows to get them ready for the planche and Maltese. Now on to the strengthening portion of elbow and wrist mobility. So this is the application side. All right, so we went through the mobility in the front with all the stretches and the warm-ups. Now we're applying, and the reason why we use a band is because it's a lot less resistance than actually doing a planche. So that first exercise you saw, my hands were parallel, as if you were doing a planche on the parallel bars. And then here I'm doing Maltese walks. So just holding the Maltese position and then walking out as far as I possibly can with not compromising the position. And then right into Maltese presses as well. So having the arms completely locked out again, this prepares the elbows for the stress that you put on it with the planche and the Maltese. And then the last two exercises are bent arm exercises. So you have a bent arm curl here. Pay attention to the angle of my arms. So working full extension up to a full curl. And then the next exercise from this, obviously being the opposite, but it's a skull crusher with the band, having the back of the band head height and full range of motion as well.